Welcome guys. In this part, we'll be discussing 7 techniques for working faster in Revit. First, let's focus on selection. Say we want to select something, an element, object, whatever, either in 3D or plan. If I do a right click here, I would find select all instance. If I go with visible in view, all the objects from this type in this view would be selected. Like as an example, currently we have 3. Now let me go with another element, for example this wall. Select all instance, visible in view. And this time, we got 5 selected elements. So as you can see, I don't really have to hold the control key and select all the elements one by one. Now let's say I want all the walls to be selected from this particular type, but this time within the whole project. In that case, again right click, select all instances, but this time I'm going to go with an entire project. How many selected items we got now? 21. So in other words, our selection won't be limited to only this specific view. Afterwards, we can simply apply the modification that we have in mind, like we can change the type, for example. As for another thing, guys, in Revit, there's no shortcuts helping us select all the walls, for example, all at once. We can do something else though. First, I need to select all these items here, all of the objects. Then we can open up filters and select the category that we actually need. For that, I need to click on check none first. And then I'm only going to select walls. Remember guys, if you want to select a specific type of object, you definitely need to be using select all instances. But if you want to select all the objects from a particular category, you can use filters. As for another selection technique, guys, you can enable this option called Select Element by Face. And then select the objects, your elements that you have in mind based on their faces. But if I disable this option, I won't be able to select, for example, this floor using its face. So yeah, you need this option if you want to do such a selection, guys. Oh, before I forget, guys, you can actually use this item. I'm still talking about select element by face when you are not using wireframe as your display mode. Because to put it simply, guys, in this mode, the faces won't be detected. That's why you can't really use them for the selection process. Next up, let's talk about placing the palettes, guys, and especially properties and project browser palettes. You can either place them like this on top of each other, or if you are using a large monitor, you can actually put one on the left side and the other on the right. I mean, it's very simple. You can just select the palette like this and move it around. As an example, I'm going to move the project browser all the way to the right, and when it gets highlighted, we can leave it be. Here we go. Now, as an interesting point, guys, let's say we have moved this palette, like unintentionally, by mistake, for any reason. In such a case, we can move the cursor right up here on the palettes tab, and then do a double click. And immediately, the palette goes back to where it was before. And we don't really need to do any other thing, no click drags or anything. Now, let me show you how to set the palettes on top of each other. I'm going to drag this here. Again, I need to wait up for the palette to be highlighted. And afterwards, I can just leave it here. Last but not least, guys, we can convert these palettes into tabs. Take a look at this. I'm going to select this and drag it all the way up here. Again, when it gets highlighted, I can just pull my finger up and set the palette as a tab. Now that we have the palettes as tabs, we can't see them completely, but we can't see them simultaneously. Instead, we can simply switch in between them. And again, guys, if you're using 2 monitors, like actually what I'm doing at the moment, you can transfer one of the palettes into the other monitor. As an example, I'm going to transfer my project browser into my second monitor. And obviously, I can do the same for the other one. This way, I'll get more elbow room. Also, guys, we can do the exact same thing for the views. Like, let's say we want to transfer the 3D view into the other monitor. Now, the process is exactly the same as what we did in palettes, guys. We just need to select the view and drag it all the way to the other monitor, And now, better yet, we can actually maximize the 3D view within the second monitor and have access to a full view like this. So then, what I'm trying to say here is that practically having a second monitor could be quite useful. Third technique that we'll be discussing would be regarding using selection boxes and section boxes. Let's say we are working on a large-scale project, but we don't have a good system. In such a case, the 3D view might not be displayed completely. The situation is not hopeless, guys. You can divide your 3D view into segments. As an example, take a look at this facade here. Let's say I just want to check this part or work on this part. So I can select this, and then up here I would find selection box, and there's a shortcut for this, BX. Either way, when I select this, the whole selected zone would be displayed or would be set and displayed within this section box. What is interesting about using this item or technique is the fact that we are able to use this for somehow collaborating in between 2D and 3D views. As an example, I'm going to enter this plan. Let's say I want to work on this staircase, for example. So I'm going to select the staircase and up here click on selection box. Number 1, we would automatically enter the 3D view, and the number 2, we would get the section box around the staircase. Oh, and by the way, we can always control the section box, but unfortunately my section box is hidden. Let me unhide it. Basically, after turning the section box on, guys, we would be able to control it. We can move it around and basically control its boundary. As an example, let's say I need some sort of a section view on this staircase, guys. See, this is extremely useful. Now let's talk about the concept of section box a little bit more, guys. Let's say we want to check an entire level. Yeah, an entire level in 3D. Right click here, orient to view, floor plan, and I'm going to select the second level, for example. What's going to happen is that the entire selected level would automatically be set within a section box, guys. See? Now, if I rotate this, as you can see, we would get this very awesome view that we can use for different purposes, like, for example, creating diagrams. As for our fourth point, guys, we can talk about global parameters. Take a look at this plan, guys. Let's say we have some ceilings and their height would always work together. As an example, currently for the height we have 24 something, and this is the exact height for all the ceilings. Now, if we want all of these ceilings to have the exact same height, we can go ahead and select each one separately and then apply the height that we have in mind. Now, this is correct, but we can do something better, something way better. Let's select all these ceilings just once. Then here from height offset from level, we can find associate global parameter. Let's click on it. Then we need to create a new parameter here. I'm going to call this ceiling type A. Now take a look at this. I'm going to go ahead and select the ceiling. And as you can see, the height parameter is now a read-only parameter. And in fact, it is being specified based on the parameter that we just created. So then obviously if I go ahead and change the value within the ceiling type A parameter, the height within all of these ceilings would have changed. Where we can find the global parameter though? From the Manage tab, we can find global parameter. Let's click on it. And here we go. As you can see, I already have some global parameters. But anyway, this is the one that we just created. Now I'm going to change the value here to 2600 millimeters. And now, simply, this value would become the height for all of those ceilings. If I go ahead and select the ceilings, you would see this number. As this is an extremely useful technique that help us basically work a lot faster when dealing with objects and elements and items basically with common or shared parameters. Moving on to the next technique, the fifth technique, which is extremely useful and interesting. Let's talk about using line-based families. Guys, let's say we need closets within different areas of our project. Now, the point that we need to consider here, the important point here basically, is that these closets should be set within different dimensions and sizes and even within different elevations. Honestly, at first, the whole thing might seem complex and even difficult. But actually, we have a winning hand here, guys. We have a line-based family, let me put it better, a parametric line-based family that we can use. Let me enter one of the plans and show you what I mean. For example, the first level. So we want to add these closets in these parts. Take a look at this. I just need to select the line-based family and just start setting it. Basically, this is a very simple click drag. I can even press space and flip it over. And even after setting it, we can select it and from properties use these parameters to modify it further. Alright, now let's try setting this closet within another zone. For example, here. So then one more time, give me the line-based closet and set it here. Then again, we can control the height and width as we want. Now let's use one of the techniques that we talked about in this very session, guys. I'm going to select this closet and up here click on selection box. Here we go. The family would be displayed as in 3D within a section box for us. Basically, using line-based families, we can work faster, easier, and honestly, more professionally. Technique number 6 would be regarding shortcuts. If I move the cross on one of these items, like for example this one, we would be able to see its shortcuts, WA in this case. I'm going to enter the plan, and I'm going to press WA. Immediately, the wall item would become activated, and I would be able to set the wall. As for another point, I'm going to press W here. The only item that has W within its shortcut is wall, so instead of pressing WA, we can press W and then space. It would be exactly the same as pressing WA. Remember though, guys, this is not happening all the time though. Let me put it this way. Let's say we have some items with shortcuts WA, WB, WC, and WD. If I press W and then space, only the first item, WA, would become activated. Now this time, I'm going to press V. It says that by default, the first item here is VG, or the Visibility and Graphics. So if I press space, I would enter the Visibility and Graphics tab. Now let's try another. D and space. The dot item would become activated. But if I go with DL, I'll get line. Honestly, guys, shortcuts by themselves increase the speed of our work, as they are. And now using this particular technique, we can work even faster. Now, if I press KS, I'll enter this tab, Keyboard Shortcuts. Basically, this is where you can control the shortcuts. You can define new ones, you can remove the ones that you don't need, you can modify the ones that you already have, and you can even export them and then transfer them into another system. As for our last point, or the 7th technique, let's talk about navigating within 3D views. To put it simply, there are some things that we need to be doing for navigating within 3D views easier. As for one thing, do not use realistic or texture as your display mode when you want to navigate in 3D, because this way, the software basically starts, calculating a lot. That's why you might not be able to work as fast as you want. You can say the lightest display mode that you can go with here, guys, would be wireframe. The view gets extremely light, guys, because we simply do not have any faces here. Because we actually have a lot of lines, navigating here would be extremely difficult. Hidden lines would be another good option. We can also use shaded, guys, but there's a thing. Do not forget to disable these shadows, guys. So then one more time, do not use realistic or texture unless your project is small or your system is very good. And also, if you want to use shaded, you basically just need to disable all the shadows that you might have. Oh, and for doing that, actually, you need to be entering graphic display options. And then here from shadows, basically disable both of these options. I'm talking about both cast shadows and ambient shadows, especially ambient shadows, guys. Oh, also, if you have a background, set it on none. Yeah, basically, this would be how to navigate faster and easier in your 3D views. And overall, guys, that would be all regarding 7 useful techniques for working faster in Revit. Now, if you want to learn more techniques and points like these, you can check my course through the link in the description.